In today's episode of Tighten Up, I'm going to make my predictions for the 2020 NASCAR silly season. I'm going to predict where every free agent lands up for the 2021 season, and let's get started.
Ryan Priest, and you're watching William Blackwell on YouTube.
First off is the 2 car, which is right now driven by Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski has won so many races in that car. He even won a championship in that car back in 2012. I think it will be done for him to leave to go to Team Hendrick or Hendrick Motorsports, whatever you want to call it, for 2021. That's been rumored, but if Brad Keselowski just keeps on winning races right now, he won the Coke 600 recently, why would he leave them to go to another organization? It just makes me think. So I think he stays with the Team Penske for at least another year. Next is the 10 car, which is right now driven by ERIK ALMIROLA. ERIK ALMIROLA got into this ride back in 2018 after Danica Patrick decided to retire from racing. When he got into this ride, he nearly won his first race with this team, the 2018 Daytona 500. He was leading on the last lap and got turned by the 3 of Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon won that race, but imagine if that never happened. He would have got momentum there, carried it over to Atlanta, and who knows what would have happened. He could have won a couple races back in 2018, like Dover and New Hampshire. He was just caught in a bad place at the wrong time where he had a caution while leading. It was just terrible for him. He has had terrible luck. But his only win, though, was in Talladega. I know it's a plate track. A win's a win, but everybody has a chance to win there. But he hasn't done much since 2018. 2019 wasn't really that impressive. In 2020, it's been up and down, hit or miss, I guess you can say. But I think he's going to get the boot after this 2020 season. And Stewart-Haas Racing's got a tough decision to make. Who are they going to put in that 10 car? But I think they ultimately decided to put Chase Briscoe in that ride for the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. Next is the 12 car Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney entered this 2020 season with a lot of uncertainty for the future. But after a great run at Daytona and then Las Vegas and Auto Club, and when Phoenix came around, Roger Penske gave him a contract for, I guess, 3 or 4 more years. They did not go publicly with that, but it was announced that he had a contract extension, which Penske's been in the past giving out 3 to 4 years. So I would expect him to at least stay with Team Penske for at least the 2023 to 2024. Ouch. But you get the point, though. Ryan Blaney is going to stay in that 12 car. Next is the 14 car. This is going to be extremely interesting here. Right now, it is driven by Clint Bowyer. Clint Bowyer is bringing in a lot of sponsor money, I guess you can say, and a lot of attraction. He's been with different media people, such as Dave Portnoy and a couple others, and he's attracting a lot of attention. And right now, he's one of the top, attention getters for NASCAR, I guess you could say. When he's racing, it's bringing more audience over. So it's going to be tough to see him leave. And I think that's what's going to happen. He's going to lead this 14 ride and go join Mike Joy and Jeff Gordon in the Fox booth. He's going to be a great commentator. You already see him calling racing nowadays in the Xfinity Series and sometimes Truck Series. He's going to be a good one. But who is going to replace him? At the beginning of this year, it was going to be Chase Briscoe, Kyle Larson. But Chase Briscoe's in that 10 car, so now it's going to make it interesting because Kyle Larson's up on deck. But Kyle Larson got suspended indefinitely from NASCAR a month ago, and he hasn't been lifted off from that. So I don't know what's going to happen. But you know what? When it's all said and done, I think Kyle Larson will get this ride for the 2021 season. It's going to be a big shock to a lot of people, but you just know Kyle Larson's a great racer. He made a dumb, stupid mistake, but I think he's going to come back better than ever. Next is the 20 car. Right now, it is driven by Erik Jones. Erik Jones has been in this car since 2018. He hasn't done that much, I guess you can say, since. He won the Daytona race in 2018 in the summer, but in 2019, he won the Bojangles Southern 500 at Darlington, which was a big win because He was right in that playoff bubble line, but this win secured him a spot in the playoffs. So I guess that kept him on that roster in the 20 car for at least another year. And that's part of the reason why they did not put Christopher Bell in that car. But in 2020, he won the first race to Clash. And he's been doing he's been consistent lately, I guess you can say. If he keeps that up, I think he's going to keep this ride for the 2021 season. And if he gets a couple wins, I guess you can say, they might give him a big-time contract. And it's going to make things 2 times interesting in 2021. We have Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Busch in the free agency market. It's going to get interesting there. But I got Erik Jones remaining in the 20 car for 2021. Next is the 21, which is right now driven by Matt DiBenedetto. Matt DiBenedetto has been doing pretty good this year, I guess you can say. Top 10 in points. If he keeps up the good work, he might keep staying this ride. Who knows? If Brad Keselowski were to go to the 48, which has been rumored, but I think it would be stupid. But if that ride opens up, I think Matt DiBenedetto can back himself up and get possibly that ride. I know it's going to be between him and Austin Cindric, but Matt DiBenedetto, he's close to his first win. It's just a matter of time. But I think for now, he's going to stay in that 21 car for the 2021 season. Next is the 32 car, which is right now driven by Corey LaJoie. Corey LaJoie has been in this car for a couple of years now, but hasn't done anything spectacular, as Matt DiBenedetto did when he drove this car. But I do think, though, he's going to get some more experience down his pocket, I guess you could say. As the season goes on, he's going to get a little more consistent, I bet you. And he's going to be in a good position in 2021. He's going to get an improvement, I guess you could say, big time. He's going to another team, though. But this ride is open. I'm comparing this to Hendrick Motorsports and Levine Family Racing back in 2018. 2017, they decided to bring up William Byron, who was in the Xfinity Series. He was dominating. But they had to bring him up, but they had to release somebody. And it was Casey Kane, and Rick Hendrick wanted him to race Hendrick car, Motor Powers, I guess you can say, and put him in a 95 car. And I think this is going to be similar to Stewart-Haas Racing, but now with Go Fast Racing, they're going to put ERIK ALMIROLA in this car, and Stewart-Haas is going to back them up for another year. They're backing them up this year right now, but I still think it's going to keep going in 2021. Next is the 42 car. This car number right here has been the most talked about this whole season without a doubt. It started off with Kyle Larson in this car, and as soon as the whole pandemic started, he actually was racing an iRacing race and said a word that no one should ever say. And the next morning, the sponsors left him. NASCAR suspended him indefinitely. And then the next day, Chip Ganassi fired him. And that put that team a step back. But now they got to find a replacement driver. It was obviously going to be Ross Chastain. That's the only name that everyone can think about. Chastain had raced every single cup race at this point. Daytona, you get the point. But I would have thought that Chastain would have got the nod for this ride. But no, he didn't. He was committed to Matt Collick and Collick Racing in the Xfinity Series, which I can see that. I respect that. But they were still going to look out for another good driver and possibly go for a championship. They contacted Carl Edwards. He did not respond. He said no. I guess you could say he responded, but you get the point. But they picked up Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth, so far, as 4 races in, he hasn't done much, and he even said it beforehand. He doesn't plan on returning again next year, but he'll see and think about it. But leaning towards that, I think he's going to leave him and possibly retire again, Mark Martin. But they're going to pick up Ross Chastain in the 42 car for the 2021 season. I think it's time for him to get this ride, and he's going to do big things in this ride. Next is the 43 car, which is right now driven by Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace has been in this car since 2017, where that year he replaced ERIK ALMIROLA for a couple races while ERIK was hurt, and then got the nod for the 2018 season going full-time, then 2019 and 2020. But as the years go on, his relationship with Richard Petty and the whole community up there at the shop has been going down. He hasn't been getting along. But I think in 2021, he's had enough of it, and he's deciding to leave this team, I think. But now, who are they going to pick up? They're going to pick up Corey LaJoie. Like I said earlier, Corey LaJoie hasn't done anything spectacular as of now, but I think he's going to do some big things as the season goes on, and he's going to get a slight improvement and get this 43 route, which is good for him, I guess you can say. Next is the 48 car, which is right now driven by Jimmie Johnson. But Jimmie Johnson already announced at the beginning of the season that he's going to retire after the season. But now, who are they going to pick up? Brad Keselowski was the most mentioned, but I think it'll be done for him to leave Team Penske after all those races he's starting to win. But they're going to pick up an Xfinity Series driver. They're going to go young here. And I think they pick up Noah Gragson. He's right now racing for JRM, the 9 car. He's won 1 race this year, and that's at Daytona. And he's top 5 in points, which he's been extremely consistent. I think he gets his big opportunity in the 48 car for the 2021 season. I like this decision, and I hope it happens. Next is the 88 car, which is right now driven by Alex Bowman. After he won the Fontana race earlier this year, before all this went on, Rick Hendrick was put in a position. Do you keep him for another year or do you release him? But he's banking on that Alex Bowman is going to be a championship contender for years to come. So what did he do? He decided to give Alex Bowman a big contract extension. And after NASCAR came back from this pandemic, he's been running really good, I guess you can say. Top Darlington races, both of them, he was really good. Then the Coke 600, he led like most of the laps, if not out of everybody, led majority of the laps. And in the second Charlotte race, he actually was up front the whole night until the later stages. When he hit the wall, it was just a devastating end. If none of that would have happened, I would have thought he would have won that second Charlotte race. But now, heading into Bristol, I don't know. Alex Bowman hasn't been too good at Bristol lately. But Alex Bowman, though, is going to keep this 88 car for years to come, so good for him. Next is the 95. Right now, it is driven by Christopher Bell, and I think Christopher Bell is going to stay in this ride for the 2021 season. Erik Jones is going to stay in that 20 car, so he's going to stay in that 95 car for another year. But like I said earlier, it's going to get interesting in 2021 when Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch are all possibly go into free agency. I expect at least one of them to retire. If any of them, I would think maybe Truex, but you never know. But yeah, I think he stays in the 95 and possibly goes to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2021. But we'll see. Last but not least is the 96 car, which is owned by Gaunt Brothers. They got Daniel Suarez racing in that car right now, but you know what? I think Daniel Suarez is going to take a step back after this 2020 season and go to the Xfinity Series and possibly for a top team like Junior Motorsports or Stewart Haas Racing, which he's been racing for. Like when he raced there in 2019, he wasn't too spectacular, I guess you can say. Or he can go back to where he started, Joe Gibbs Racing, like I said. You never know. A lot of options are on the table for him. RCR. But I think he's going to lead this ride. And this ride is open. And I think Bubba Wallace is going to come back to Toyota. He raced with them in the Truck Series for Kyle Busch. I just think this is going to be a big time for him. He's going back to Toyota. It's going to be big. But Bubba Wallace has now got a 2021 Cup Series ride. So it's awesome. But those are my 2020 NASCAR Silly Season predictions. Everybody, please like and subscribe.